As you can probably guess, given their thumbnail and what's on screen, I'm going to be doing a bit of a tier list. Now, I did a recording. I tried doing a tier list of every single unit, but I got like half an hour in and I was like 7 units deep. And I realized it was going to take too long. So I'm going to do a tier list for each typing, right? And that makes it a hell of a lot easier and a lot more concise. So I'm going to be judging these units based on value more than anything else, not just like, raw damage. Do they debuff well? Do they buff well? Do they do a lot of damage? Can they black flash? What are their auto skills? Stuff like that. That's how we're going to be rating them, okay? Also, you might notice at the bottom here we have a tier list, like a little tier for JP. That's pretty self-explanatory. As I've said before, I am not a JP player. Whilst I do find it interesting to look at what units are coming out of JP, I personally don't have a JP account. I just like to waste my money on global. In regard to these two units, all I know is that Mei is apparently a pretty good damage dealer, and this Inumaki is apparently trash. Like, that's all I know. This, like, Shibuya Inumaki. Like, pre-Shibuya or whatever that Inumaki is supposed to be. But, yeah, let's get straight into it. We'll do 2 SSRs, an SR, then a rare. Well, what SSR should we start with? Let's start with an easy one, right? Let's start with a mega easy one. Who is the strongest? Who provides the most value in the red typing? Now, it's between 2 units. We'll get through these first. Let's talk about Domain Gojo first, because he was the bane of my existence for a very long time. And I say that because I had to pity him, and he stabbed my wallet with a fucking, oh my god. SSR Domain, Red Gojo, Dojo, Gomain, whatever you want to call him, is one of the most potent debuffers in the entire game, and that is because of how his auto skill links with his ult. Now, his domain is really strong, right? Without any effect from his passive, say it's on his last turn, it will double the damage you do. It does like a 99% damage increase taken to the enemy, like 99%. Now, his auto skill increases that depending on how many turns you have left. And I think it maxes at about 6 turns. And it gives, like, pardon me, an extra 25% per each turn you have left. So, like, 25 times by 6, 150. Yeah, that is 150. So there's 250% damage increase, like, if not more, which is insane, right? Like, you can just pop that as well. His attack all, his blue, is really potent. It helps clear waves if you're just, like, getting rid of fodders and trying to quickly get through quests. Very useful. His red is okay. It's decent damage, but I'm gonna be honest, you're not going to be using it an awful lot because you're just trying to fish for domain, and then you can only use his skill 1. And his skill 1, on top of that, is really strong. It can black flash on each hit. When Domain Gojo uses his ult, which, as I say, is like, it overrides other domains. Like, it is the best domain in the game, and canonically, kind of. After he uses domain, he loses limitless, and he has to use his skill 1 exclusively. That's fine because the enemy is stunned for several turns after he pops domain anyway. When he is limited to his skill 1 post domain, it also, it decreases their crit resistance, which is really good too. And it does good flat damage. It's really strong. Like, I don't need to tell you how good this unit is. If you have him, you know. If you don't have him, you want him. As of recording this video, there's like a day left, but by the time I post it, there's probably like no time left, and this Gojo won't be able to summon from anymore. So I'm going to give you a Captain Hindsight, Captain Obvious thing here. If you didn't pull this guy, you're kind of screwed. Another thing that makes him so important is the fact that because he's a Gojo, he isn't really affected by typing differences, in the sense that he's not going to die, right? He has limitless active until he pops domain. As soon as he's popped domain, you've got another nuker in the back who's just going to, kill whatever boss you're attacking, right? The reason he's so strong is that it doesn't matter that he's a red type character. He can fit on any team. His red typing means literally nothing. It just increases or decreases the amount of damage he's doing. But the amount of damage he's doing is like, it's a side thing. If you're using this dude to DPS, it's like using a hammer to juice a fruit. Like, it's not an effective way. It's something you can do, but you shouldn't do it because it's stupid, right? You're gonna have this dude in the front, so he debuffs immediately. You can have Domain Megami on top of that if you're a friggin' psychopath, and then just have like a nuker in the back. Like, you can have him on any team. You can have him blue team, green team, red team, yellow team. It does not matter. He is like the most potent debuffer in the game. He gets ult faster than Domain Megami, especially if you have the right memories. He is goated, right? There's a reason on the wiki he's triple S for support. Like, he is cracked. And on top of that, when he does do damage, it's decent damage, right? So I'm gonna just move past that. He's the strongest. We know this. Let's move past it. Now, out of all these other units, who else would I put as second best, right? Now, there's probably 2 units a lot of people are wondering who it's between, right? A lot of people are thinking Yuta, and a lot of other people may be thinking Toji. Me personally, I've beat all 60 of the Illusory Tower stages that are currently on Global, and in my opinion, I got more value overall out of Yuta. While arguably, some people will say that Toji may or may not do more damage than Yuta. It's kind of up in the air, to be honest. Me personally, I think Yuta will do more damage, but whatever. He just has literally everything. Like, if you look at all these units, the red typing doesn't have like a Shoko or anything like that to heal, but it's built into his kit passively, right? If any unit on his team goes under, I think, 60 or 50%, something like that, his auto skill procs and he gets 3 team heals, which is insane because it does 25% healing, I think, and it also gives him ult charge. Oh, it costs 10 cursed energy. Who cares, right? He starts off with a bunch. It doesn't really matter. He heals the team. He has counter attacks. His ult does like at the same percentage as Hollow Purple, which is insane. It's like 1999 when you like level 10 it. His skill 3 and skill 1 can black flash. Even after his ult, he buffs his stats. Like, he is just overall, he just increases survivability for your entire team by such a significant margin. It's not even funny. Like, you can use this dude as a nuker, but passively, in the background, he will also be keeping your team alive. The only real downside is his auto skill doesn't affect him. He doesn't heal himself with a reverse curse technique. And on top of that, I'll be talking about them a lot later, Hanami will take damage from reverse curse technique. Now, when I saw that in Hanami's passive, I was like, oh, they'll take damage from RCT. That's canonical, but how much damage does Hanami take? Hanami heals himself with her auto skill, and Hanami only takes literally 1 damage, so it's a pointless point. Like, Hanami doesn't need healing, and Hanami doesn't take damage from Yuta's auto skill anyway. But he does damage, he can black flash, his ult is cracked, his skill 2 decreasing crit resistance, and it can like insta kill stuff if you're just trying to, you know, clear levels to get through an event quickly, so just so you can summon or whatever the hell. That's really nice to have. Like, he has a good AoE. He's good for just kind of getting through events like that. Like, currently on global we have like the JJK0 stuff where you're just trying to kill as many things as possible. If we don't get to 10 million, I'm going to scream because I want that extra 10 levels. But he's absolutely cracked. He's insane. Let's move on to an SR now. You know what? Let's go to the obvious. Okay, these aren't ordered yet. I might order them later. SR Yaga, right? You know it. He is one of, if not the best, buffers in the game. Whilst Domain Gojo is the best debuffer, this Yaga is arguably the best buffer. And they're both on red, which makes red a very strong team if you're going for mono red typing, right? Now, this Yaga, the opinion I have on this kind of character is that he came with the base roster, right? He was in the game from the start, and similar to Red Inumaki, which we'll get into later, basically, when the devs made these characters, they didn't think enough how the meta would form around them, and they just kind of made their numbers too high, or they gave them something, like a part of their kit, which is really, really strong, that no other unit has. Like Rare Inumaki and Rare Yuki, they have stuff that no other unit can do. Like, Rare Inumaki can increase ult charge, and Rare Yuki can increase cursed energy, which no other unit can really do. That's what makes them so strong, despite the fact they're rares, and you're going to pull 1 million of them, right? Same sort of thing with SR Yaga. He buffs, like, more than... Like, he's a better buffer than Blue Momo, and Blue Momo is absolutely cracked, right? Where is she? Like, there. Like, she is a cracked unit, don't get me wrong. But even though he's base roster and he came with the game, he is absolutely insane. He is, if not the best buffer in the game, and he's red typing. Of course, I think he gives 40-50% around that, and it stacks up to 3 or 4 times. His ult can also increase damage taken and debuff the enemy. His skill 3 is kind of useless. You're never going to be using his skill 3. You're just going to be farming his skill 2. You're just going to be using him alongside the memory that increases ult charge, like, consistently. That's it. It's just the buffs that he gives is absolutely insane, and you're going to be stacking buffs with him. That's all he is. That's the only part of his kit that's useful, but that part of his kit is so strong. He's like the exact opposite of Yuta. Yuta can deal damage and keep your team alive, and he can black flash, and his ult does a brick of damage, and like, he's just a really strong unit overall. This Yaga, he's just the best at one thing. He is just the goat of buffing, and his buff is cracked, right? That's it. Now, let's get the obvious out the way. Rare Maki's at the bottom. Now, for obvious reasons, right? She's like, I wouldn't say she's like the weakest rare. She might be. She doesn't really inflict status effects. She does have an AoE, which is nice. She can decrease, I think, crit resistance. The numbers for her skills are just so low. And I get it, it's because she's a rare, but the reason Rare Yuki and Rare Inumaki are so strong is because they have a part of their kit that is unique to them, that no other unit can do. Like, there is no other unit in this game that just flat out increases the team's ult gauge, which makes him absolutely cracked, right? And he's increasing defense at the same time. You know what, just because I'm talking about him this much, I'll just put him up there as well. He's just super broken, and he shows exactly why that Rare Maki is so weak. This Rare Inumaki buffs your team while also giving it ult gauge. His stun can sometimes be useful, he does no damage, and his ult is kind of whack. The co-op effect can sometimes be okay, because I think it heals, but you're not really going to be ulting much with him. You're just going to be farming his skill 2 to shield everyone and give them ult charge. This Maki, I don't even know what your game plan would be. Like an off DPS, just so she can like AoE, try and get some damage in, but you could just use SSR Maki instead, genuinely. I imagine you could get Mai to do more damage than Rare Maki, and that's not good. Like, Her percentages are so low because she's a rare, her stats are going to be really low. It's just unfortunate, to be honest. Like, she's just not a good unit. That makes sense, though. That's how rares usually are in games like this. Obviously, in all gacha games, there will be, you know, rares and SRs that really stick out. Like, for example, in Dokkan, you had, like SR Jacko and SR General Blue for the World Tournament years ago. That's an old school callback. But this Maki is definitely not one of those cases. She's just too weak. Her stats are too low. She doesn't give any stat debuffs, really. Like crit resistance, and that's it. She's just not very strong. Right, that's all I can say, really. Now, who should we go for next? Let's get Hanami. Now, I'm going to put Hanami here. Right, I think Hanami, I might put Hanami in S because Hanami is the best debuffer in regards to enemy attack. Domain Gojo is the best debuffer for doing damage. Hanami is the best for reducing damage. Because Hanami can reduce damage by, I think, 35%, and it stacks. And her ult does that as well. So there's a reason the team comp of Hanami, Mahito, Yuki, and Rare Inumaki, there's a reason that team comp was so broken and so meta that the devs had to change how the flaws work, right? Because the debuff is so strong. It's just too good. Like, for example, you can get through, like, most stages in the Illusory Tower from, like, 1 to 40, no matter what. As long as you just have Hanami, Mahito, Yuki, and Inumaki. Like, as long as you have that team comp, you can get through most flaws. Because the percentage-based damage of Mahito and the debuff from Hanami is absolutely cracked. The only reason Hanami's not in S is because the debuff is very cursed energy heavy. It's very costly, right? It costs a lot. I think it's 30, 35, something like that. You're not going to be using a skill 1 or skill 2, right? Because they're kind of ass. You're going to be using a skill 1 when you run out of cursed energy or whatever. You know, that's fine. But when the debuff is used, it buffs the rate of her ult filling up as well, which is cracked. So you're going to debuff and then you're going to ult. And the ult also debuffs. Like, since it does domain, it does a bunch of debuffs. It's great. It's just mega cursed energy reliant. So without Rare Yuki or a memory to fund this cursed energy expenditure, she's kind of screwed. To counteract that, though, has high survivability because Hanami's healing every turn with the auto skill. Overall, Hanami's really strong. I think Hanami also gets 20 cursed energy per turn. I'd say Rare Inumaki's in a very similar boat to SSR Hanami. And, you know, Hanami's free to play, which is also like a big, huge bonus. But this Hanami and the Rare Inumaki are very cursed energy reliant, and they're going to be spending. So you need Rare Yuki or a memory, which is unfortunate. But whenever you have Hanami on your team, it requires you to build the team around Hanami, which is a shame. But Hanami in of itself is mega strong. So let's talk about who do we want to go to next? Because it's not that many units. Let's go Miwa. SR Miwa, when the game first came out, I was very interested in because, you know, I like the simple domain. Kusagawa's my favourite character. If you've seen my main channel, you know that. But the gimmicks of most Miwas are kind of meh because it requires build-up. You have to use your skills to, like, start up a counter-attack or set your simple domain. And at the end of the day, they don't do a lot of damage. Like, I think all the Miwas are specialists on the wiki. So they're basically all tankers, right? They're supposed to tank and counter-attack. And in my opinion, that tanking space in the meta isn't that great. Because why the hell would I have a tank when I can just have 3 debuffers and a nuker and just end it in 3 rounds? Unless it's like a flaw in the Illusory Tower where, you know, the enemy can't be debuffed. Sure, I might use a tanker, but why would I use an SR one? Their stats are going to be lower, especially in red. Like, I would just use Panda. Like, I would just use Red Panda. Red Panda is better. He tanks better, he has a resurrection status, and he can do a surprising amount of damage, and he can heal himself. Like, this Panda is a surprisingly strong unit. He's not the strongest, but at this point in time, Panda's pretty decent. If you have to use a tank for whatever reason, like, you feel as if your team doesn't have enough survivability, run Panda with, like, a memory that forces provocation. I mean, you don't need that. I think his skill 2 inflicts provocation. So give him a memory that increases his defense or something like that, right? And he can survive for a long ass time, and he can heal himself with the sausage, and his ult does a surprising amount of damage. Like, this unit is pretty cracked. Is he the strongest? No. Because, as I say, why would you run him? Like, he's very niche. Because there's not an increasingly amazing amount of stages that are debuff resistant. But for the ones that are, and you want your team to have more survivability, sure. Run a tanker and run Panda. And Panda will be able to help. Obviously, don't use them if they're strong to red type units, because he'll die instantly. And that's only like 2 turns. Because you use his skill 2, he dies, gets resurrected. Use his skill 2 again, he dies again. Like, that's only 2 turns. what you want to do is like use them on a team where red is strong, and you'll be able to keep your team alive for a little bit longer, right? That's about it. Miwa can't really do that. She has decent stats. Her ult can do like better damage than Maki. She just has better stats than Maki, and she does a bit more. That's about it. There's not much more I can say above that. So let's just move on. You know what? Yeah. SSR Maki, let's talk about this one, because this one's a bit annoying, because we got those huge buffs, and it changed the landscape a little bit, right? We got the buffs that made, like, Adult Geto, it made him from, like, kind of whatever to, like, a really good debuffer and a half-decent nuker, right? And it made Green Nananmi 10 times better. It buffed the hell out of him. It made Yellow Inumaki better. Like, that buff made Blue Todo better. It made, like, a bunch of units. It made Junpei, like what tankers want to be, right? But the buffs that SSR Maki got, it's just not enough. They were just percentage buffs. They didn't increase enough. It gave her 2% healing each turn. Okay, that sucks. It's a pointless buff, right? SSR Maki just isn't strong. I'm sorry. You can try and defend her. I've seen people try to defend her. Just like in the show and in the manga, she is just Toji light. She is Toji 0. She is Toji without the Toji, right? She's like the heavenly restriction, but trash, okay? I don't like Maki as much as Toji. Screw you all. But her skill 1 is kind of crap, I'm gonna be honest. Skill 2, it gets a tiny debuff, and I think it's like it only decreases physical type damage, so it's not even worth the debuff. She has an AoE, which is kind of nice, put on a cooldown. The Playful Cloud ult is just trash. The main issue with the SSR Maki is that the stats aren't high enough, the percentages just aren't high enough, and she doesn't inflict status ailments enough. Like, and only decreasing physical technique is like, come on now. Not all enemies do physical technique. She just doesn't do anything. She's like green ultimate Mechamaru. And when I say that, I don't mean the SSR one, which is apparently like mega cracked. Not this one. I'm talking about this one. This one just does flat damage and nothing else. And he's an SR. The SSR Maki should be like have more in her kit, but she just doesn't. She doesn't get like a mega high crit chance. She doesn't get like a mega high healing or damage reduction. She doesn't get like, there's nothing to her. She's just like a trash damage dealer, and that's what she's supposed to be. She's supposed to be a damage dealer, but she's just bad at it. Like, you could get more damage with Panda, and he's not supposed to be an attacker. He's supposed to be a tanker. He's a defender, and I'm tempted to put her in a tier below JP, because the amount of times I've pulled SSR Maki instead of like a featured unit on a banner makes me want to rip my goddamn hair out. Like, I'm not even kidding. Oh, is this SSR Miguel? No, SSR Maki. Oh, is this Domain Gojo? No, SSR Maki. Oh my god, is it Sukuna? I can tell you now, I'm going to pull 10 SSR Makis in that banner alone, and I'm going to want to commit. Anyway, enough about my hatred of SSR Maki. Let's go Todo, because he might go top of B, because you can get... Unlike Maki, you can fit him on a team. For example, you could run him with Toji. Like, he could run well with Toji because his buff increases physical technique, and it also adds counterattack, which can be useful. But he can be ran with Toji, increased physical damage. That's nice, but obviously the co-op effect from his Black Flash will be missing because, you know, Toji can Black Flash. His damage can be okay. The co-op effect from his Boogie Woogie stuff is okay. It's decent. His damage, as I say, it's okay. He's just better than Maki, but significantly weaker than Panda. Like, I feel like there's a big gap between these two, right? Like, there is a big gap, I'm gonna be honest. But yeah, there's enough I can say about the Todo. The artwork is cool, but he's just... Okay, so quick little edit here. I accidentally just kind of skipped talking about Red Yuji, but luckily, if you want to know more about my thoughts on him, I talk about him more in depth in this video. And also, another quick thing, I'm not gonna lie, after using them a bit more, I think SR Red Miwa should be a good chunk higher. Like, she can be really useful. Also, one last quick note, thank you for all the shout-outs and stuff. Like, some of the big Phantom Parade content creators are shouting me out and watching my stuff, which is really dope to see. Thank you, fellas. It's very much appreciated. Anyway, back to the video. But who else have we got? We got... Let's go Mai next. Where would I put Mai? Probably here. Now, I think a lot of people think that's a bit high for Mai bars, but... I think Mai is a very strong debuffer. It's just, she's like a Black Flash unit in the sense that it's RNG heavy, but she can inflict a significant amount of debuffs on an enemy, and it's, you know, attack all, that's really potent. She can inflict stealth on herself so she doesn't get targeted, which is nice for a debuffer, because there will be times, like when you're on a illusory tower or something, where like, the debuffer you need to beat the floor gets insta-killed, like he gets one tap by an ult, so you have to immediately reset. She won't. She can stealth herself, which is nice. Right? She will shoot over and over and over and over again. There will be times where you'll get like 4 extra shots each turn. Well, 3. But like, she's great. The debuff she inflicts. The only annoying thing is that when you level up her skills, it doesn't increase the debuff given. But overall, the unit, I think she's perfectly fine. There's nothing that I genuinely, like, there's nothing that I dislike about this unit. She is perfectly good. The debuff from her ult, perfectly fine. The debuff from shooting over and over and over and over, perfectly fine. Like, there is no real downside to it. It's just that she's a unit that you can't use when the enemy can't be debuffed. But you could say that for a lot of units, right? You could say that about Hanami or about Dome and Gojo, right? Like, if the enemy doesn't get debuffed, what can you do? You can't really do anything, right? You just have to buff your team instead. But yeah, not much else to say on the unit. Pretty good. I like her. Now we've got 3 left. Where do we want to go? Do we want to go for the others? Yeah, let's go on the opposite end of the spectrum. I think SR Nananmi is still pretty strong. While the meta does, like, over time, as we get closer to JP, the meta goes more so towards debuffing than buffing, and buffing becomes somewhat irrelevant, as we see with, like, you know, Domain Megami came out, and then Domain Gojo came out. Like, the game slowly goes more so towards debuffing than buffing, but then we got, like, you know, Yellow Shogo came out, I think she buffs a fuck ton, and so does the new Green Shogo, but debuffers increase damage more than buffers traditionally do, right? But even still, this Nanami is still very potent. His buff is still very strong, though it gets, like, over time it gets eclipsed by Yaga's. He's still good. He can Black Flash on his skill 3 and his, I don't think he can on his skill 1, but his skill 3 and his ult. His ult will do a surprising amount of damage, truth be told. He can do, like, for a member of your team that you're going to be having on there strictly for support, he will get more kills on bosses than you would assume he could. His damage output, when he Black Flashes, he can output some, like, decent numbers for a support unit, right? He's like SSR Yellow Yaga. Like, he will hit numbers you didn't expect, which is great. But as I say, the reason you're going to have him on your team is strictly buffing, and that's about it. And on top of that, his ult does buff the team. So if you're, like, out of cursed energy and you ult, perfect. Like, it's not as high as a buff, but it's still useful, right? Yet again, he can be cursed energy heavy, but because he's an SR, like, you're going to increase his grade a bunch, so he's going to start off with extra cursed energy, and, you know, like, you're going to get 3-4 turns in, you'll have ult, and then, like, you'll be fine. You'll be able to buff plenty with this guy. He's perfect. Since he's an SR, he's more memory reliant for his stats, but overall, I think the unit is still perfect. Is he better than Mai? I don't know. Maybe. It depends on the stage. I'd say if you can debuff the enemy, yeah. If you can't, obviously, yes, our enemy's better. But yeah, it's either or. Now I've got 2 units left. Do I go with the obvious or do I go with the not so obvious? This isn't her placement. I'm just putting it there. Well, I think. So I managed to pull Nobara when she first came out on Global, and I was very confused by the unit because it's one of the few units where your damage doesn't strictly come from your ult. You're not fishing for ult. She's like Yellow Nobara, where you're trying to inflict as many nails as possible and then fish. But instead of fishing for your ult, like you do with Nobara, the yellow one, you're fishing for your skill 3, which is 50 cursed energy, which is huge, right? That's an insane amount. But the resonance, like little, you know, the finger click, it can do a good chunk of damage, and it can be spread out because of her skill 2, I think. Like the attack all nails. Granted, they're only 1 nail at a time, but it's still very useful. Her ult lets her Black Flash, and I don't remember her... What's her Black Flash effect? What's her in the zone effect? She did get buffed from the patch notes. Crazy. And she's going to be SP buffed as well. Oh my god, I didn't even know she was going to get anything from the SP system. That's insane. Holy. That's mental. She increases their Jujutsu stat by 45% when she ults and gives herself 15 cursed energy. That is genuinely cracked. Holy. Granted, you're not going to be Black Flashing a lot, obviously. You can only Black Flash with her ult, which is, you know, that's fine. But holy, it's a guaranteed Black Flash as well, so it's just a flat, you just, after you ult, so you're going to be fishing first for nails, then ulting, and then resonance, which is, it's going to do a surprising amount of damage. Let me see where people put her on the tier list. I'm genuinely curious. That's pretty fucking high. That's the SP one, but still. Where's the original? Is she there? B? People only put her in B? Damn, I disagree. I just think that's because of the SP system. I think she's better personally than Yellow Nobara, but maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just kooky crazy. I'd put her above Todo. Is she more usable than Panda? No. I'd say this because Panda doesn't require build-up. The main reason that I was very wary of the new Honored One Gojo that just came out on JP, or is coming out, I'm not sure. I think it just came out. Is that he requires, like, time to build up, which is the same issue I have with Degumi. Is that you need to build ult, and then you need 3 turns to optimize your damage. It's a similar sort of thing with this Nobara, and, you know, Yellow Nobara, granted, where you need to build nails up and then ult, and it's very annoying. But with Panda, you just use provocation, and he increases the damage he does with every hit he takes, which is very useful. Forgot to mention that. But yeah, I still think this Red Nobara, like, say, for example, you don't have Red Yuji, I think she can be a decent damage dealer. I think you can very much use her to like good effect on global. I think you can. That's enough about her. Let's talk about the GOAT. Obviously he is an S tier, but where in S tier does he go? Obviously I don't know. I don't know where I'd put these three, if I'm honest. Let's just talk about Toji in a vacuum, right? What does Toji do? Now, he's a very unique character, because he does one thing that most can't. So his skill 1 increases crit resistance. Not a fuck ton, but it's a nice little debuff. His skill 2, since he's using the Soul Splitter, ignores, like, buffs from the enemy. So he'll just cut through damage reduction. Not on every stage. If it's like a stage like I think 55 where the enemy needs to be black flashed, he can't just straight up cut through, which is annoying. And there are stages on the Illusory Tower where you can't remove debuffs. His skill 3, the Inverted Spear of Heaven, that won't get rid of the debuffs. Obviously, that won't get rid of the enemy buffs, which is kind of annoying. You know, his ult is an attack all. He does heal himself every turn. I think every crit he gets, he increases his damage. Removes attack nullification, but the first part of that buff isn't very strong. And that's just because there's not a lot of enemies that have it, right? Let's be real. It's just Gojo units, and there's not a lot of Gojo bosses in the game. Also, removing debuffs, great attack stat there. Where's the auto skill? Okay, physically gifted, increases on 50%, 3.5, damage received, 20% to just dodge stuff, grants guaranteed hit, so it can't even hit by domains, like when crit is performed, increased taijutsu. Like he's landing crits constantly and he's buffing himself constantly, and on top of that, because he is heavily restricted, he doesn't have to rely on cursed energy to do any of his stuff. One thing that does annoy me about Yuta is that you will want to keep spamming his skill 3 and then just feed that and then go into ult. But sometimes, a lot of the times, because his ult charge is really high because it does such a large amount of damage, you'll run out of cursed energy and you'll just have to resort to his skill 1, which can be annoying. But with Toji, you can just spam his skill 2 as much as you want, to be honest. Like, you can just spam it and then you'll get crits from that, or you can use his skill. His skill 1 is like crit heavy, I'm gonna be honest. You will crit all the time with his skill 1. His skill 3, you will use the least, in my opinion. It is a fun gimmick, but you're not going to use it a lot. Increases break damage, that's fine, but you're just going to be spamming his skill 1 and skill 2, because they do a brick of damage, and then just nuke for his ult. And he's going to be landing crits that entire time, and he's going to be buffing himself, and then he does it buffs it. His entire character is like, not necessarily a snowball character, because the buffs aren't that, like, mega significant, but they are consistent, and he's going to be constantly buffing himself, and he's healing himself a little bit every turn. Like, even just look at Maki. She got 2%, this dude's got nearly double, right? That's a lot more important, and he reduces the damage received. Like, he's not going to die a lot, and he's healing himself. He's got great survivability, he can use whatever skills he wants, and he can nuke really well, and he can cut through damage reduction. Like, he's just a great unit overall. Right, when I look at this tier list, there's nothing that I 100% disagree with. I think the red typing category is one of the strongest. I'd say the strongest at global at this point in time is probably yellow, because Domain Megami on top of yellow Yaga with Teen Gojo, and like yellow is just like a really strong, and Zonji of course, and Yuki. Like on global, yellow is obviously the strongest right now. I'd say blue or green is probably the weakest. Probably blue the weakest at this point, and then Sukuna comes out and then spikes it all the way back to the top because Sukuna's that broken. But I think red shows how powerful it is. Like, there's a reason everyone uses Domain Gojo, even when, you know, they're using like a green type team, because Domain Gojo is just that strong. There's a reason a lot of people use Yuta on a red team, and it's because he can nuke, do a fuck ton of damage, and heal his team. Toji, same sort of thing, but he heals himself, he crits all the time, his ult does a brick of damage, he can remove buffs, he can cut through buffs, he's great. SR Yaga, the amount of buffs he gives, crazy. Inumaki, he can give ult charge, which, as I say, is unique to him, because the devs really didn't think about what they were giving this guy, and he's absolutely cracked for it. SSR Hanami, free to play, you can farm them. The debuffs to attack is insane. The domain debuffs, insane. Yuji, red Yuji, I explained my opinions on him in my previous video. Really strong. Well, not my previous one, the take 2 videos behind, but whatever. Really strong. SSR Maki. The debuffs she gives, not the most consistent, but it's like 20% each shot, and I think it stacks once, but like they're so consistent, you're going to be debuffing a metric fuck ton. Nananmi, good buffs, good damage, can black flash. Panda, I think he might be above Nananmi if I'm completely honest, but I'd have to use him a bit more. I think out of him and Rare Maki, the characters I've used the least, I'd say, and maybe SR Miwa. But Panda, he decreases damage with the skill 1, he can activate provocation with the skill 2, he can heal himself, really strong, his ult is good, like he's a strong unit. SSR Nobara, the red one, good damage. Todo, he can buff, he can black flash, he can give counter attack, not the best, but he can have his uses. SSR Maki sucks, SR Miwa, not the best, Rare Maki, trash. Yeah, overall that's my opinions on the red typing. Okay, that's all, everything I believe. Now, I would say the least ordered is like the top, because it depends on how much value you want, because like he can be valuable on any team, so can Inumaki, but he can also die very quickly because he's a rare. Same with Yaga because he's an SR, but at least Inumaki increases defense and stuff. These are the least ordered, but you know, Gojo is definitely the top of the pyramid. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about these units. I'm probably going to spend a while editing this. It's probably going to take me a hot minute, but yeah. Toodles my dudes, hopefully you enjoyed watching. Let me know which category I should go through next on Global before Sukuna comes out. Probably blue, but yeah. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I very much appreciate it. That's how I feel about these units, and toodles my dudes, I'm out. Peace.